Imagine if the entire global economy depended on just two ingredients. Not oil, not computer chips, two specific rocks. And if one of those rocks ran out, armies got weaker, kingdoms got poorer, empires started sweating. Welcome to the Bronze Age, the time when the richest civilizations on Earth were basically fighting over metal ingredients. And honestly, it was a lot more dramatic than it sounds. Because bronze wasn't just metal. Bronze was power. Today, if you want something made of metal, it's pretty easy. You need steel? No problem. Need aluminum? Sure. Need titanium? It's expensive, but somebody can get it. But around 5,000 years ago, things worked very differently. Most people used stone tools, stone axes, stone knives, stone spearheads. They worked. Kind of. If you've ever tried cutting something with a dull kitchen knife, you already understand the Stone Age experience. Then somebody discovered a game-changing recipe. Take copper, mix it with tin. Boom. Bronze. Suddenly your tools are harder, your weapons are stronger, your farming equipment lasts longer. It's basically the technological equivalent of upgrading from a flip phone to a smartphone. The moment people realized how useful bronze was, everybody wanted it. And that's where the trouble started. Copper wasn't the problem. Copper was relatively common. Ancient civilizations could find copper deposits in lots of places. Tin? Tin was the nightmare. Tin was rare. Very rare. Some historians call tin the oil of the Bronze Age. Because civilizations desperately needed it, but only a handful of places had enough to supply everyone. Imagine building your entire economy around peanut butter. Then discovering peanuts only grow on 3 farms located 2,000 miles away. That's basically the Bronze Age supply chain. Kings needed tin. Armies needed tin. Blacksmiths needed tin. Everybody needed tin. But nobody had enough. So civilizations started doing something revolutionary. They traded. A lot. We're talking enormous trade networks stretching across continents. Ships crossed dangerous seas, merchants traveled deserts, caravans hauled cargo through mountains, all because people wanted enough tin to make bronze. Think about that for a second. Ancient traders weren't shipping luxury handbags. They weren't shipping designer sneakers. They were hauling rocks, extremely important rocks, but still rocks. And these trade routes became the highways of the ancient world. The civilizations around the Mediterranean became deeply connected. Copper from one region, tin from another, manufacturing somewhere else, distribution everywhere. It sounds surprisingly modern, because it kind of was. The Bronze Age economy wasn't isolated kingdoms sitting around doing their own thing. It was an international system, a giant interconnected web. And that web made some people incredibly rich. If you controlled a major source of tin, congratulations, you basically hit the ancient lottery. Kings wanted to be your friend, merchants wanted access, foreign powers wanted deals, and occasionally, foreign powers wanted your stuff, very aggressively, with armies. Because controlling resources has always been profitable. The technology changes, human behavior doesn't. Think about modern countries competing for oil, rare earth minerals, or semiconductor manufacturing. Now replace microchips with bronze swords. Same basic idea, different century. Ancient rulers understood something that leaders still understand today. Control critical resources. Control wealth. Control power. Simple. And bronze wasn't just about weapons. That's the part people often miss. Sure, soldiers loved bronze. Getting stabbed by a bronze spear was significantly worse than getting stabbed by a pointy stick. But bronze transformed everyday life too. Farmers could use stronger tools. Builders could create better equipment. Craftsmen could make higher quality products. Entire economies became more productive. Bronze was technology, and technology creates advantages. The civilizations with access to bronze generally had a huge edge over civilizations without it. It's like showing up to a race with a sports car while everybody else brought bicycles. Now here's where things get really interesting. The more successful the Bronze Age became, the more dependent everybody became on trade. And dependence creates risk. Imagine running an entire civilization where one missing ingredient can cause major problems. Actually, you don't have to imagine. We've seen this recently. Remember when supply chains got disrupted and suddenly everyone couldn't find certain products? Cars got delayed. Electronics got delayed. Stores ran out of inventory. People started treating toilet paper like it was a legendary treasure item. The Bronze Age had exactly the same problem, just with much sharper consequences. If tin shipments stopped arriving, bronze production slowed down, weapons became harder to replace, tools became scarcer, economic activity suffered, people got nervous. Kings got very nervous, because maintaining military strength required a constant flow of resources, and resources depended on trade, and trade depended on stability, and stability is surprisingly fragile. Imagine being a Bronze Age king. Every morning, you're waking up asking questions like, did the ships arrive? Did the caravan make it through the mountains? Did pirates attack anything? Did somebody block the trade route? Where's my tin? Basically, Bronze Age kings were refreshing supply chains harder than modern gamers refreshing GPU stock. Every day, every shipment, every delivery. Constant anxiety. Because one delayed shipment wasn't just an inconvenience, it could become a national security issue. Your rivals were watching. Neighboring kingdoms were expanding. Everybody wanted resources. Everybody wanted power. And everybody knew bronze mattered. A lot. This created an incredible level of international cooperation, but it also created competition. Sometimes friendly competition. Sometimes less friendly competition. The kind involving chariots. Lots of chariots. Ancient diplomacy often revolved around trade agreements, resource access, and strategic partnerships. Because if your bronze supply disappeared, your problems could multiply very quickly. In many ways, the Bronze Age was the world's first experiment in globalization. Civilizations became connected across enormous distances, goods moved farther than ever before, ideas traveled, technologies spread, cultures interacted. We often imagine ancient societies as isolated and disconnected. The reality was much more complicated. People were building international networks thousands of years before the internet, or airplanes, or even decent roads. Honestly, that's pretty impressive. But there's one final twist. The thing that made the Bronze Age powerful may have also made it vulnerable. Because highly connected systems can be incredibly efficient, they're also vulnerable to disruption. When trade networks function perfectly, everyone benefits. When they break, problems spread quickly. And around 1200 BC, many Bronze Age civilizations experienced exactly that. Trade routes collapsed. Major cities fell. Long-distance commerce declined. Entire kingdoms struggled to survive. Historians still debate the exact causes: invasions, climate problems, political instability, economic disruption. Probably some combination of all of them. But one thing is clear. A civilization built on interconnected supply chains suffers when those supply chains stop working. Sound familiar? The Bronze Age wasn't just about swords and kings. It was about economics, trade, technology, resources, and the constant challenge of keeping a complex system running. So the next time you hear someone say the ancient world was simple, remember this. Thousands of years ago, powerful kingdoms were coordinating international trade networks across continents, just to make sure enough tin arrived to mix with copper, because in the Bronze Age, controlling those metal ingredients didn't just make you rich, it made you a superpower. And if your supply chain failed, well, the strongest empire in the world suddenly became a lot less bronze and a lot more nervous. And hey, a little update from my channel. I've officially started moving. That's right. The animation budget has finally evolved beyond standing completely still like a Bronze Age statue. So if you've noticed a few extra movements, gestures, or moments where I actually look alive, that's progress. We're slowly climbing the technology tree. Stone Age channel, Bronze Age movement. Maybe one day we'll unlock Iron Age animation. So keep supporting the channel, and together we'll make these videos smoother, funnier, and a little more alive with every upload.